Moon in Pisces, Sun in Gemini. What up, what up, what up? It's your boy Dave B. You watching DaveBeyondTV where we go beyond that everyday bullshit that people be consuming on a day-to-day business. These sound funny.
You funny.
And today, you know what I'm saying?
After I go up.
We're talking about so we talking about moon. Hold on. Make sure the mic is good.
No, Gemini up in the sky.
Gemini up in the sky.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's Gemini season. He knows. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
High five. All right, cool. So with the Gemini sun in the sky at the moment, the moon in Pisces, right? It creates a square. So basically what we have is the moon in Pisces. Of course, you know, it's reacting and responding to mutable water type things, our emotions. So as far as how it looks, it being Gemini, right? The thing about Gemini and Pisces is that the frustration comes in between the Pisceans aspects of emotions, making it difficult to communicate, right? So at this moment in time, there's kind of different ways you can go about it, right? You got to look at it as, on one end, this is you getting more familiar, going through the frustration of figuring out how to, first of all, explain or communicate about your imagination or your imagination, the things you dream, the things other people can't see that you're privy to. These things are, you know, we're going through that frustration of learning how to make those things something that can be communicated to another individual for them to understand. So this is contributing to kind of the larger idea, if you want to consider the sun trine and Pluto, for instance, right? Some of these outer planet aspects, the sun trine and Pluto at the moment is having us change how we even go about associating ourselves, transform that entirely. The sun in Gemini is making us aware of other people's ways of communicating, right? That can help us with our own fixated way of communicating. But right now is not the time to be fixing your ability to communicate, because that's going to limit you to the type of things you can actually obtain at the moment as far as manifestations, or just what it is you being too fixated in the way you communicate. You're going to miss out on the opportunities or the gift that is available for you to participate with where the sun is at, because that's the most important. Not the sun being the most important, but the most important is understanding the transits in the sky and knowing how you can play out these energies the best way through you. So you're seeing the sun in Gemini right now. You know that even if you are a fixed air sign, an Aquarius or a cardinal air sign, it's better if you'll get the most, even though you'll have the air aspect, you'll know how to communicate. You'll get the most out of your communication if you choose to blend it in with the mutable aspects of it. Exactly. So with the mutable aspects of it, you know what I'm saying? You know, you have to be adaptable and changeable. You have to switch up your communication style. You got to be willing to hear other people and contribute with them. But yeah. So the other aspect, right? The other outer planet, we got Uranus and Taurus. So with Uranus and Taurus, it's us honing in on that individuality in order to have it work in our favor towards stability, safety, security, things that deal with fixed earth things, you know what I'm saying? Just being practical, being in a situation in which you feel secure, you know what I'm saying? So Uranus and Taurus, this is us building a foundation. So our foundation had to be in a space of individuality, right? Now that Uranus energy, along with Uranus, right, we're gonna stay on Taurus for a second. We got Mercury in there as well. So Mercury has been having our mind on the type of changes that we need to make, and even it incorporating it into the things that we communicate and things on our mind. So at this moment in time, it's like a cleanup time for a lot of things that's been cluttering your mind. Again, planting good seeds in Gemini season looks like you actually remaining light and you being able to move around. It's like mobility in a sense. But the other end of Gemini, right, is being too wrapped up, too scattered. So the type of mobility that you do isn't free to be curious, free and childlike and innocent. It's more so you going back and forth over scattered thoughts. You don't even have a real intention for what you're involving yourself in or what you're even talking about. You're just kind of lost in the wind. Wherever the wind blows, you there. So that could be playing out in energies. If you feel real scattered at the moment in time, you don't really know what to put your focus in. This is going to start to affect you, especially coming into the last decan of Gemini, which is Aquarius. So we're at 18 degrees right now. So even this energy, when we get to 17 degrees, 18 degrees and 19 degrees, we get slight influences. I said 17, 18, 19, but I also mean 7, 8, 9 degrees of a sign, 17, 18, 19, and 27, 28, and 29. These numbers are when we start to get to slight outer planet influences. So on the 27th, you start to get influences of
That's right, Dave.
Pluto.
27.
27, yeah.
Yeah, 110.
Yeah. So you start to get into influences of Pluto at 27 at the 7th degree, right? And then you start to, so that's like calling for transformation. Now, remember that the outer planets are so far away. That's why, we used to have that 10-day system, but now we're down to 7. But those influences still come through slightly. And it's not so much that you need to put too much focus and energy on it, but understand that it does play out around those last degrees. So when we hit a slight Pluto degree, this is us needing the transformations. So that's going to be the day that, a good example is that'll be the day certain things that you leave out on the counter or something like that will spoil a lot faster than on other days, just because of the nature of that slight Pluto influence. It's like adding extra decay and death at a faster rate. Things need to transform that day. So that's like the end of the true week. And then you get to the next degree, 8, which is more Uranus, right? So this is a day where things are going to be a lot more random. You got to be more on your toes on this type of day. Things are going to be changing, rapid changes, unexpected delays, unexpected things, boom, 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 all that type of things, all that type of stuff. So then you got Neptune on Neptunian day. That's like the 9th, 19th, and the 29th. This will be a day that's more dreamy, more day that it might be harder to focus, more Neptunian day. Things that you thought was one way, you might find out on this day. Like on this day, you might make certain decisions, right? But on the following Tuesday or whatever day comes next, you'll start to see, oh, that was actually an illusion, or I wasn't quite sure when I jumped into this. So, knowing those influences of the days will help you know when you should be kind of doing stuff and when not. Now, as a spirit, you need to carry out what you're going to do regardless of the day, but knowing the day's energy helps you know how to go about it. So it's not about preventing you and making you, where you're being used by the energies. Okay, you're looking up in the sky and say, oh, well, it's a Pluto influence or it's a Mars day. I can't really be doing what I want to do. It's just understanding what you want to do, but being creative enough to think outside the box and incorporate the energy, because that's the type of thing that we're supposed to be doing. We're supposed to be using our mind, right? Our spirit is supposed to be using our minds, coming up with a creative way to use what's available to us, which is everything that's in the material world. So the better you can use these things, including your thoughts and feelings, creating them, creating the ones that you are trying to use, right? As long as you're doing that, you'll be straight. You know what I'm saying? You'll find your own unique way to play out all possibilities without getting too bogged down in different things. You like that word?
Bogged down. What is the number?
Yeah, it's the number of time. It's time.
No. I knew that's all the 27. 27.
So that's what's going on. So, so being that we're at like 18 degrees, it's the 20, it's the 8. So it's like Uranus energy. So today is the motivator is change, and the next day is going to be Neptune. Now, that's important to note as well, because we have, in this day particular is a Venus day, right? So this would be a day where that Leo energy would have came through. Now, Neptune is actually exalted in Leo, and we have some prominent Leo energy in the sky at the moment too. We got Venus and Mars there. So what's happening with our passions and the things that we love and appreciate and value is we're in a space where we want to get attention, right? So we are in a situation where you could easily be taken to a certain space in which you'll be displaying certain energies that other people can look at you and be like, oh, like they're not want to participate in what you got going on, just based upon the way you're going about getting attention. And the thing about Leo is it's so fixated in your own way of seeing things, and this is where you get the Neptune exaltation, because it's so fixated in seeing things the way you see it that you can easily lose connection to reality, and you can start to not see where you don't hit that. You can start to not see where you're going too far in certain energies. All you see is what you want to see. And so when you get into that space, you get into that exalted Neptunian state in which, okay, again, like this is where you got to wake up. Like this is being too consumed in your ego, right? Now the ego is not a bad thing, but ego is linked to individuality, and being too separate at a certain point leaves you in your own world. And when you're in your own world for too much, it becomes your own darkness. And this is like even a metaphor for being too much in your own light. When you think you shine so bright, you start to treat others in a certain way. You start to move in a certain way, and that starts to cast shadow on everybody else. And even though every individual is responsible for their own way of seeing themselves, right? And everybody should have that confidence, right? But sometimes just the way you go about it, it could be distasteful, and that could be based upon you going too far in that ego. You actually getting too attached to that thing you created as a material, external thing that you're wearing on yourself, right? Whether it be a status, because I'm not talking about physical clothes. It could be a mentality that you wear, and that mentality that you wear is not it's just wrapped up in a lot of ego. So it'll come off to other individuals, again, casting a certain shadow that they don't necessarily feel less for themselves. They just feel like, I don't want to be a part of anything you got going on, because you are displaying energies of being in your own world. And that can create distance at a time where it's summertime. So we trying to come outside. We trying to be more connected and things of that nature. So this will cast you out in a certain way. And then Gemini, it'll be so fast that you might not even realize this is what you're doing. Because see, the sun is sextile in this Leo energy. So you could be talking and moving so fast. Again, like I was saying, the Gemini energy planting bad seeds is just looking scattered. You don't even, you got a stage that you setting, but you taking that opportunity to get involved in a bunch of things that's probably not even going to help you fulfill that stage or do that performance. You know what I'm saying? You're not actually reciting lines. Instead, you getting wrapped up in the drama of what's going on behind the scenes or in the crowd, in the audience. And when it's going to be time for the show to play, right? Probably in a couple months when we talk about going into Leo season, you're going to be looking back at what you did in Gemini season, because it's a significant time due to the fact that it is the end of the spring. So whatever we spring from this, right, whatever, when we're done with this energy, we're jumping right into that Cancer energy, which is the beginning of summer. And the summertime being the fixed portion of the seasons is when the fixed life portion is, we want to be fully in whatever it is that you want to be doing in the summer seasons, in Cancer, in Leo, and in Virgo, because that's like where the most action happens. You know what I'm saying? You the springtime is just for preparing you for what you're going to start to encounter. And if you're spending this time BSing, you're going to feel the effects of that later on. You know what I'm saying? You're going to feel those times in which you wasn't focused. You're going to feel extra uncomfortable during Cancer season, extra like insecure, you know, and that insecurity, remember, to being a cardinal sign, that insecurity is going to lead you to even more procrastination type energy. So when Leo season comes around, that cardinal water, the only thing you initiated was more feelings on being insecure, more ways in which you can feel exposed, more reasons you feel like it's better to hide inside the house and not come outside. But the sun gonna be shining, it's gonna be Leo season, and you're nowhere to be found. And then as far as the seeds that you're planting, come Virgo season, is gonna play out as you not actually having anything during harvest time. And then that's gonna be another rough fall, and then rough winter. Really rough winter. Fall, you might be able to get by kicking it with other individuals, you know what I'm saying, doing some Libra-like things. Maybe you'll get in your manipulation bag, and then maybe, you know, again, Sagittarius will help you laugh it off and help you escape it for a little bit, but that's still planting worse seeds for yourself. Then by the time we get to the winter time, it's barren. You know what I'm saying? You have no crops, you have nothing. And everybody, again, all that energy you was participating in, trying to keep up with everybody due to you not doing the work now. Now you are seen for all that stuff you was doing during the fall. You're seen for all that negative energy during the fall, and you're going to be outcasted in the wintertime. That's how that plays out, just by playing bad seeds now, and then you having to do the negative side of the energy just to try to create balance. You know what I'm saying? There's a better way to go about that, and that's just knowing where the transits are at the moment and doing what you need to do now. Now, getting back into the sun being in Gemini, right? 18 degrees. So we're heading into the third decan of Gemini. So this is going to be a Gemini that's more Aquarian based, more Saturnian, right? Trying to make sense out of things. So like I was saying, at this moment in time, if you still feeling scattered, that's an indication that you wasn't planting the right seeds. if you are able to actually see what it is that you're building, right, and come up with some, now is going to be the time where you start to receive those creative ideas. And as we prepare for the next new moon, this is going to be you going through that process. That's why, like even right now, the moon being in Pisces, on one end, this is you sharpening your creativity, and it might be a little frustrating. It even might feel like your passions right now aren't worth going for, due to the fact that Mars is opposite the moon. So you might feel opposite to your passions at the moment. You might feel discouraged, so again, that frustration, that uncertainty, it's important, because you being able to go through that, but choose to develop better thoughts and feelings on the situation, right, regardless of what you actually going through, that sharpens your ability and your capabilities. Because see, when you're put in that situation, like think about all the times your back was against the wall. It's like you start to come up, like when you really, those moments that your back was against the wall and you overcame it, it was because you chose to get up and come up with a new idea of how to go about whatever it was. You chose to face the fear and didn't care too much about, whether or not you would make it through. You just knew you had to go through, you know what I'm saying? And that's the certain decisions that this energy needs you to play out. But it's better to do that before your back is actually against the wall. So say at this moment in time, you got certain things under control. It's just these influences. You got this creative thing you're trying to do, or whatever it is that you're trying to put out in the world, but you're going back and forth with yourself, deciding on whether you should do it or not. See, that be the thing. At this moment in time, if it has something to do with your passions or things you love and appreciate and value, you're going to feel the energy of not doing it, the opposite energy, feeling all the negative or all the opposite ways of how it could play out. You're going to be looking at it and being like, I don't know. But it's important to just go ahead and go through it, because going through it is going to at least give you the fumes you let off, the mindsets you develop going through that uncomfortability, that uncertainty. But sticking with the choice you made is the actual material that's needed for certain manifestations to come through. So you have to keep that in mind at all times. How the universe works is through the mental, because the universe is something that was created. It's a collection of minds. That's what the universe is. So your mind is nothing more and nothing less than a vehicle. So you got to treat it well, and it'll treat you well, just depending on how you decide to design it. But you have to also be aware, and this is where your spiritual awareness comes in, your subconscious awareness. You have to be aware of what's going on, the playing field. The better you understand the playing field, the better you can create, again, through strategy, create the right form, or the right whatever, shields, missiles, artillery, whatever you want to say for that spaceship, that vehicle, for it to maneuver properly. And every now and then you got to hit the pit stop, the esoteric pit stop, and fix this, fix that. But the thing is, you got to keep going, because life don't stop. So the second you stop, the second you think that, oh, it's too much, you overwhelmed, and now you want to run and hide, that's the minute you start to plant some of the worst seeds. Now you trying to not plant seeds. And by you missing out on those times, you miss out on opportunities to actually get with it, because you're not going to strike a win unless you actually playing the game. You know what I'm saying? You're not going to get the jackpot unless you roll the dice type energy, where, you can play scared, but what you scared for? You know what I'm saying? You already here. You already doing what was going on. So to play out scared energies, you're not doing nothing but a disservice to yourself. You know what I'm saying? So the moon opposite. So yeah, we talk about the last day. So yeah, Gemini getting into that fixed mode. So again, Gemini was germination season. So at this point in time, this is you, now that you've spread your message, this is now you getting more fixated with your message. So in the second decan, it was Libra. So we needed to initiate more mutable conversations. Now we need to be fixated in mutable conversations, which means really having flexible ideas on something, multiple ideas on something, fluidity in the conversation, but start to have more focused conversations. You know what I'm saying? Being mutable, but in a more fixed like way. So having more, you know, so this is where, again, like I was just talking about that Aquarian energy, not being fully fixed, right? Where it becomes a debate. You have your idea, they have their idea. Y'all might have like minds, but y'all are debating and you staying on your point. This is more like, okay, this is the topic of the day, and now we're gonna do a bunch of different ideas and brainstorm on that topic. So translating that into what you got going on in your own life, say creatively or something like that, whatever you really got going on, because it doesn't just come down to creativity, but it does in a lot of ways, just because, you know, everybody, well, I'm not gonna say that, you know what I'm saying, everybody's into what they're into. So whatever you're into, it's the same concept as far as being fixated in whatever topic it is, but having multiple different ideas, building on that, you know what I'm saying, and that's the whole purpose of it, curiosity, but for the sake of building. So not just being scattered and, oh, we're going to have a little bit of this, a little bit of that. No, that was the first deacon of Gemini you should have been doing. You should have been having all the conversations in the world, trying to get to the, you know what I'm saying, trying to see what's out there. Curiosity, going wild. Then the second deacon was about being the leader in it, saying, okay, well, now I'm initiate conversations on what I was thinking about and I was curious about. Now I know, okay, I want to know more about that. Let me initiate conversations on that. Now that we've initiated conversations and potentially built relationships off of those conversations and familiarity and comfort on that balance level, now it's like, okay, let's take that to the next step. Let's take those things that we initiated and now let's stay focused on those, but still pile on a bunch of ideas. And those ideas, those conversations that you have with individuals in your surroundings, soon that's going to be so familiar that it becomes family, so familiar that it becomes comfortable. And that's kind of what we're getting at. That's going into Cancer season. So that's why that third deacon in Gemini, it's important to know that's going on right now. Now that sextile with that Leo energy, again, hopefully you haven't gave up on your passions, because right now is a real prime opportunity for you to really come up with a lot of different ideas on how to even approach the stage. Opportunities to actually have multiple ways to see and communicate, convey your creativity, or communicate to the individuals who are going to help contribute to your idea. And again, remember that teamwork makes the dream work in that aspect. So right now, you should be talking about your passions. You should be talking about the things that you love and the things that's on your heart. You should be giving support. Now, the other way around is you taking opportunities to be self-centered. So every time somebody come around you, you don't want to talk about nobody but yourself. And that's a negative energy, because it comes off as, again, self-indulgent, self-centered, and that's going to play out in, that's going to start to spark more of that Lilith, where you're going to put yourself, again, that might come from that deep embarrassment or that deep insecurity. And also that Leo energy trine in Chiron, it's the gift to make mistakes when it comes to these things. So again, this is the you setting the stage for you to be up there alone and actually manifest embarrassing yourself, or actually embarrassing manifesting a situation where, again, people boo you on stage and just don't want to be involved just because of how it's coming off. But it could be, again, that's the other end of this, where you having a bunch of conversations, you're being mutable about me. You know what I'm saying? And again, check any feeling that come across your heart in which you see somebody else shining and you get frustrated, because that's just an indication of where you're not shining. And it's not that you're not shining there. It's just that you're not, you know, deep down inside, you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing in that area to get the recognition. It's just, especially now in the way society has been, it built us up off of the social media, giving us the drug of validation or the drug of gratification in quick, easy forms, shortcut-like forms. Now you think that's what you need in order to do something, but it's really the other way around. You have to do something with no expectation in order to even get in a space where appreciation is real. You know what I'm saying? And even when it's real, you're not even supposed to be in an energy where you're getting high off of that. See, a lot of people just be getting high off the validation, because for the little bit of that they do, it's like everybody got dreams that they want to manifest it for themselves, right? But because that, what the work they know that it takes to actually manifest that, they rather post something real quick and get a bunch of likes and interactions on it to make it feel like they're in that position that they're in. And this is like a way in which people it's like do psychology on themselves, reverse psychology on themselves, where they get that little high from the imagination of them being on that stage, but in reality they actually not doing anything on a day-to-day. They just coming up on the next thing to post. And that's how they got a lot of people engineered, where nobody's really setting real goals or doing anything real. It's like you're doing a bunch of content creation just for the sake of getting the validation. You're not actually trying to build something with yourself and build your brand or build your, it don't even got to come down to business so strictly. You just trying, you doing what you supposed to be doing, or doing what you love. You doing what you genuinely enjoy, being yourself. And that's going to be the what differentiates people when you start to see online and these personas and things of that nature. What's an actual business persona and who's actually being a true individual or truly being themselves is going to come very clear as day. And then remember, all that energy in Taurus, going back to Taurus, Jupiter being there, expanding on the reality of, who you are on this journey. Your experiences are going to tell you the reality of what you actually are participating in. It's going to expand the foundation. So you want to make sure that foundation is looking like the things you value. You want to make sure you expanding on your value. But if you got the wrong values, right? If you valuing the wrong things, aka you valuing that validation more than you just genuinely loving to do something and choosing to express that with no expectation, you're going to start to expand on that being the chase. You're focused. You're never going to get to that space you're looking at because you're just focused on the chase. The chase is getting that like every day, or getting that, and again, there's different ways to go about achieving what you're trying to achieve, but it's not so much about, it's just those are one of the pitfalls. Because again, individuals who do go about it like that, it might work for them. But the thing is, it's just still, it's that space of you chasing that validation or taking those shortcuts that's not really going to lead to no real stability and security, because you're not being an individual. You're not actually expanding on that. Instead, you're just expanding on, again, you're associating that spirituality or your whatever, that spiritual, when you feel like or really with dealing with Jupiter is really a false sense of morality. You feel morally superior because you are materializing a bunch of things that look like, again, you're successful, whether it's 1 billion likes, 1 billion follows, $1 billion even, or something physical, something, a car or whatever, something in the material that you can take and say, oh, well, look, I'm morally superior because I'm manifesting this type of things in reality. And spirituality ain't really, it doesn't have anything to do with that. So you're really just using that as a crutch to kind of feel that, again, not actually putting in the work, but just showing something to make it look. And then again, this could be the mindset of individuals who don't have something, who are searching and desperately, again, in that desperation energy, trying to get their hands on something that look like they can be morally superior, when it doesn't start with that in the first place. It starts with you being yourself, and again, expanding on, it's really just your values. On the other end of that, the positive end, right, planting good seeds with that energy looks like you actually taking the time to recognize your gifts, and then coming up with practical ways to actually stabilize these things. Now that's the square between Mars and Venus and all that Taurus energy. But if we're looking at Jupiter specifically, right, that's Jupiter, Mercury, let's throw them all in there. Jupiter, Mercury, Uranus, and the North Node. What it looks like is you taking your passions and what you love on that stage, right? Now you got the creative energy going on in Leo, and all the spectacle, the reasons why people would be interested in coming to the show, right? And then the performance of the show. But now we have to make it look like this show is real. So that looks like actually having photos on the website that show like, yeah, this is what the set gonna look like. Having the script, you know what I'm saying? This is what the script gonna look like. This is you putting together the things of value that make the foundation of the show. So that's gonna be like the set design. So when it comes to you trying to, again, so let's look at the structured side of that as the Taurus, right? So the creative is the Leo, Venus, and Mars. The structure itself is coming from the way you think. So using the way you think to come up with better ideas on how to stabilize these passions, how to stabilize these love, these things I appreciate. Uranus is saying, well, let me also make that unique. So let me make that realistically unique, right? By seeing it how I see it and remixing it in a way, changing my ways and behaviors that make that stage stand out. North Node, spiritual path. So this is like making that, those passions and things of that nature. This is making it look like a realistic attribute towards my spiritual path. So not so much getting clinging on to the materialization of things, but understanding that what I'm doing with this expression of myself is contributing to the realistic aspect of me on this spiritual path. And that could just that could be as simple as you coming up with better thoughts and feelings, knowing that, okay, I'm on this journey and what I'm creating is something that's getting me closer to where I need to be. You know what I'm saying? I'm meant to do this. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like creating mindsets that look like, okay, this is my journey. This is what I'm actually building for myself. You know, again, tapping into your own purpose, whatever you establish as your purpose, finding things in your passions and the things you love and appreciate that, again, don't just look like the flash and the creativity. It's actually looking like something that, yeah, it might be flashy in creativity, but for the purpose of my foundation and my spiritual path. Even when we talk about, so Mercury, Uranus, and Jupiter, expanding on those things. So learning the ins and outs of the stage. So I got this great performance, but let me learn about certain things or get certain wisdom and knowledge that validate what I'm expressing in reality, or going out and get realistic things that we can look at and learn about the thing that we're expressing. It's like, you know, again, there's always going to be something to learn about what it is that you're doing, but it's not about going and reading a bunch of textbooks, but understanding that, okay, it really comes down to going through the experience itself. So you saying, okay, yeah, I got this stage, like I was saying. So it's like going through the experience itself, right, is more valuable than actually, and then getting out there and actually doing the real things. Because a lot of times, again, all that Leo energy could look like spectacle. It could look like, yeah, you want the attention, but are you actually going through participating in the realistic things that look like, again, are you just playing a character, or are you actually being and living what it is that you're putting on the show for? Because that's the thing about the Taurus aspect and what it's doing for the expression and the creativity. It's adding value. That's what Taurus does. So where does value come from? You look at the energy of Taurus, it comes from you being in the reality of it. So with Jupiter there, it's literally saying you have to experience, go out and do the thing. You know what I'm saying? And even if you don't feel like you got it all together, again, that's more so like Lilith and Mars and Venus, or Mars and Venus talking to Lilith and saying, well, you know, you don't want to be embarrassed, do you? But the thing is, going through the frustration of going through the realistic aspects of that, getting secure and going through the real things that make up that space, you actually, it's like you embarrass proof yourself, because you actually gonna end up being the real aspect of that energy through the energy of Taurus. You create value by actually having the realistic accolades and results. That's really the word I was looking for, the results. And you know what I'm saying, like, it's almost like when you get up to the stage, and think about this in like Leo season. By the time Leo season rolls around, when it's time for you to get on the stage for real with your expressions, the sun being there, you're gonna actually have real things to be like, oh no, I have results though. You know, I was doing this before I got on the stage. This ain't just a character. This is actually really who I am. And that's going to be respected 10,000 times more than you taking shortcuts now, just trying to get the quick stuff, quick boosting whatever you think you using to validate what you're doing without actually doing it. AKA staying behind the screen, posting this, posting that, and sitting back and being like, yeah, but I ain't got to actually go to the venue. Or I ain't got to actually show up I ain't got to really collaborate with other individuals. I ain't even really got to sit down and think about my creativity and structuring it and figuring out how I can make it look like something that's stable and looks like a foundation for me, or something that could potentially possibly make me money or manifest material things. you not actually going through the frustration of figuring that out, it's going to come back to bite you. And a lot of this energy we're going to see, because you got to think about this. Mars and Venus is getting into space before the sun is. So there's going to be reminiscences of what we could have did at this time when the sun is here trying to do what it's trying to do, but you might be restricted from certain actions, or you might not even see yourself in certain ways based upon what you didn't do when earlier other planets was in this energy before. Because where the sun is at is our focus. So you're not focused on the stage right now. It's just something going on in the background every time you get passionate or frustrated, or you get love and appreciated and valued, or you feeling like something that is pleasurable. Then you look at the stage. When you're ready to get pleasure, oh, let me look at the stage. But you're not thinking, oh, my son is going to be there, so I'm going to want to act and participate in this energy. Why not actually use those energies in the sky right now that's there to set up the situation for me? Because here's the thing. By the time the sun gets there and creates that square with Jupiter, Jupiter is going to be a lot further inside of Taurus. And on top of that, Jupiter is going to be closer to Uranus. So again, going back to what I was saying about individuality being a key right now, that's going to be such a major key, because you're not going to be prepared in that energy to have a sufficient show. You still might be able to pull something out, but what actually happens, you lack certain other attributes. You know what I'm saying? You might not be able to get the full grasp, and it's going to be squared in with the sun. So it's like those type of learning processes. You don't want to be learning what you should have did better back here when you had more access or different attributes that you could use. Because right now it's Gemini season. It's not a fixed energy. It's a mobile energy, like I was saying before. So there's a lot of more flexibility, and the focus ain't on the stage. So why not? Because that's like, you know how people be like, oh, the summer coming, let me work on my summer body, right? Don't work on your summer body during the summer, where now it look like you working and trying to catch up. You can't even, the people who actually put in the work during the winter time where nobody could see. That's when you work on the product. And then that way, when it's time to actually show the product, it's on point. It's not, oh yeah, this is the product, but I still got some finishing touches to make. It's like, that's not as impressive as, oh dang, like they just showed up, they had the product and they dipped. That's where people buy into. People are less willing to buy. They might still support, but they're less willing to buy in to somebody who come on the scene and now you're getting ready, or now you're trying to put the finishing touches. Like, oh, that's impressive, but it ain't even finished yet. You know what I'm saying? It's like, you can still make a couple sales, but wouldn't it be more impactful if you came on site and had it prepared? You know what I'm saying? So that's kind of that relationship between that Taurus energy and that Leo energy. Now, talk about the moon in Pisces and how that plays out. The moon sextiles this energy in Taurus. So this is opportunities to feel more comfortable with your individuality, to express your creative imagination in that way, feeling more comfortable communicating about maybe realistic things, or finding more realistic things about your imagination to relate about, or to give as far as a message. Because Mercury right there in Taurus, it's our thinking, and the moon being in Pisces, it's like you'll feel better about how you're putting together, making sense out of things based upon if you really got something putting together. If you're not actually putting anything together, you might feel, again, this opportunity to build more into that illusion, or, not really be building anything, just kind of be wasting time. But this is a good opportunity to take that Pisces energy, and then whatever imagination it is that you are dealing with, seeing the realistic things to communicate about within that. And again, this is going towards making that moon look like the sun, because the sun in Gemini, it needs us to actually get out there and engage with the people in our surroundings, and also understand the thoughts that we frequent. And that's going to be, that was the other point back when I was saying there's kind of two ways this energy could play, where moon being in Pisces, sun in Gemini is either dealing with creativity and imagination, maybe even faith, right, to a degree, right, your ability to believe in your possibility, right, or all possibilities, an outcome that could possibly work in your favor. Or it's you dealing with how to communicate your emotions, so lightening up your emotional state so that it can be actually conveyed and communicated without too much heaviness, too much behind the scenes delusion, clarity, more clarity in your emotional state and how you convey your ideas and messages to other individuals. So again, dealing with those the frustrations of these energies, you gain more capabilities or awareness on how to go about communicating. And this is what's going to help you establish other relationships with like-minded individuals who could potentially help you, you know what I'm saying, or be a part of what you got going on, or at the very least support it. The moon in conjuncts Mars and Venus. So we might misunderstand love or the ways in which we want to be supported. Again, you might be you might be too emotional or too in your own imagination about how you want to be supported, that you lack the ability to express what you need or express what it is that you have as far as a gift that could potentially get you supported. You just so aware of what you're not getting or what you think you should be getting. So right now with this Pisces and heavy Leo energy, try not to get lost in that type of delusion, you know, because Neptune is there too. So we could play into that illusion, feel more comfortable with whatever illusion we're telling ourselves with the moon conjunct Neptune. Moon conjunct Saturn, getting more comfortable with reality, right? But again, if your belief in your reality is looking like negativity, is looking like self-doubt, because that's another energy that comes along right when Pisces comes along, is self-doubt. Again, lacking the faith and lacking the ability. Again, and this could be based upon what you think other people are feeling about your stuff, but other people don't even, that's not even something you need to consider all the time. But I know as a mutable water sign, it's difficult. Going through a mutable water transit is difficult. You might start to feel those influences, but keep in mind, hey, that's part of the delusion, and start to establish a distance between what you think other people feel and your own feeling. Feel how you feel. If you feel self-doubt, don't make it somebody else feeling that they throwing on you, creating a victim situation. Understand that that's just what you feeling, and whatever you picking up, you think you picking up from other people, let them express that or communicate with them in order to get the truth out of what it is that's going on. And that's that square getting resolved. That's that square you going through that and learning a better way of going about whatever emotional state you're currently in, or your emotions in general. And this will help, because if you are building something, if you are dealing with your imagination and manifesting a dream for yourself, this is going to help clear your mind and clear the minds of others around you, to make it even possible for them to want to contribute to what you got going on and help you in whatever way is necessary, whatever way God allows. Moon going through Saturn, I said, getting comfortable with reality and things like that. So whatever imagination you building on, you could get more comfortable with it. But it's not gonna come. That don't mean it's just gonna come in a comfortable way. That means it still might be a bit frustrating, but you can at least work with it and see the reality in it. You know, you see the reality of what you're doing emotionally that's setting the tone for this. Or emotional restrictions, you not knowing how to utilize your emotions, you let them overwhelm you, and now you restricted by your emotions. The reason you can't communicate is because you feel like this, or the reason you can't express or put out that information is because you feel like this or that, you know what I'm saying? And that's not going to work out for you well in the long run, because you miss out on time and you miss out on opportunity, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, moon doesn't really affect Chiron. Let me see, Taurus, Gemini, we talked about. Cancer, Leo, talked about. Virgo, yeah, Virgo, Libra, Scorpio, Sag, Cap, Aquarius, Pluto. So, but that's on the other side. So, you know, on one side it's transformation, on the other side it's mistakes. So you right in between. Emotionally, we feel in between our transformations. So the things that we had to put death to, or the things that we need to put death to, and our mistakes. So use that to make a better decision in the present. Be like, okay, if I don't keep transforming this, or don't continue to kill these type of thoughts and feelings, and remember, the third house Gemini energy is thoughts and feelings that we frequent. So keep that in mind too. There might be thoughts and feelings you keep in your surroundings that you need to get rid of. But back to what I was saying, emotionally, the moon and Pisces, in between that Pluto energy transformation. And if I don't change this, if I don't transform this, I'm going to continue to make mistakes, especially going into the next sign when the moon is going to conjunct Chiron. If I choose to transform now, I can take power control over my emotional state, and it's going to help me deal with or come up with better ideas that will not necessarily avoid mistakes, but this is me being able to actively learn from my mistakes. AKA when a situation come up that looked like a potential mistake, I can see where I did last time, or where I maybe have made a mistake last time, not get discouraged, but instead get inspired and say, oh, now I can initiate this new way to see this mistake. And boom, now you're using that moon conjunct Chiron and Aries energy to keep you moving forward, and keep you developing whatever capabilities are going along your journey in whatever way you're going on it. So yeah, I think that's about it for the most part. So just keep that in mind. Continue to work on that clarity, but do it through making sure that your mind is focused. You know what I'm saying? Do what you can to clear that mind, and then also be willing to communicate. Be willing to get in the mix with other individuals, but not for the sake of drama or because you feel like you could get attention or not getting enough attention for it. Get in the mix because you genuinely feel like you belong, or you feel like you have something to contribute to the pot, and let that contribution be yourself. Doesn't have to be anything other than that. Just yourself and what you came here to do, and allow that mutable energy to transcend whatever you got going on a personal level. Mix and mingle that with other individuals, and who knows, you might get comfortable enough to manifest something come Cancer season, and a stage for yourself in Leo season, and a full harvest in Virgo season. Much love. Make sure y'all go head to the link below, get your 717 tickets, because we're going to be in Smyrna, Georgia. We're going to be putting together this spiritual event, live performances. Just going to be a great time to network, come through, and again, community building. We really trying to put ourselves together and continue to build on what it is that we're doing to change the world, which is bringing our true selves together, getting creative, sharing ideas, putting it online, but being actually in the physical, so that we can continue to build these relationships and actually build this community, in reality. Much love. Catch you on the next one.